The planet we live on is a planet of grain. Humans select and sow the seeds of the plants that grow on the Earth's surface. The seeds then become grain. Grain gives us food and clothing, provides us with a stable habitat, opens up many possibilities for cooking, and forms the basis for civilization. Let's trace grain back to its origins, starting with wheat and barley.
مرحبا.
ليلى
شو أخبارك؟
الحمد لله.
شو تأخرنا؟
تأخرت علي والله.
يلا بسيطة.
In late April, the wheat grains on the west bank of the Jordan River have just reached fullness. Nabila will have to harvest it early before it completely matures and turns yellow. This is a custom among the local villagers. Wheat is their grain of choice. This vast and fertile land on the east bank of the Mediterranean is where humans first domesticated wheat. Amid clearly defined human territories, various wild plants cover the mountains and plains. One of them is the distant ancestor of the wheat we eat today. It retains its original characteristics and is called wild emmer wheat. Its seeds still fall in the wind, as they always have. Human beings have cultivated it for millennia, helping it evolve into its present-day form. The wheat grains are tightly fixed on the axis of the leaf, waiting to be harvested. Since it has yet to fully mature, green wheat is difficult to thresh and needs special treatment. Their grains are full of juice and will not burn. Instead, they give off colour and smell much like fireworks. In the Levant region, the traditional custom is to first burn green wheat. For the past half a century, this land has been plagued by war and turmoil. However, in early summer each year, the smell of burning grain wafting in the air reminds people of their shared love for this food. The chaff is now dry and brittle and can be removed by hand. In Arabic, this rubbing action is called frika, and as a food, it's called by the same name. The Chinese word combines its colour and the Arabic word, fei mai, jade wheat. Much like the imagination of the Arabian Nights, people here are also very inventive with their cooking. Compared with hard, fully cooked wheat, frika is more suited for direct consumption. Spices are added to reduce the smoky taste. The common Arabic habit is to simmer it in meat broth. Then it's garnished with nuts and chicken, making the grains become plump and juicy again, while retaining their chewiness and making them pop in the mouth. A more elaborate method involves a whole chicken tightly wrapped with cooked frika and cubes of mutton. Of all the world's countless delicacies, fats and carbohydrates are what have sustained through the ages. After roasting for many hours, each grain of frika is coated with goat and chicken, giving it a softer, richer texture.
دجاج محشي بالفريكة.
Wheat is consumed by billions of people, bringing delicious flavours to more people than any other crop in the world. "37-year-old Ah Long took over their family's business from his father.
我而家我阿爺留俾我咧，我第三代嘅。一開始我係唔中意做呢一門生意嘅。
First, the wheat is ground into flour, a raw material with high plasticity, and then the dough is made by adding only chicken and duck eggs. The high protein content boosts both the dough's strength and flavour. A small spoonful of alkaline water can further solidify the dough, so that it will not go soft in the humid climate of southern China.
竹升麵係比較嘥精神、嘥時間嘅一種工序咯。
Ah Long uses his body weight to knead the dough with the bamboo pole. He feels the dough as it changes. The dough must be kneaded, repositioned, then kneaded again, over 3,000 times. In a time when most labour is done by machines, this is Macau's only remaining manual noodle making method. The advent of grinding grain into flour exponentially increased the possibilities for cooking. Around the world, people have come up with unique ways to finely separate and reshape flour. The dough is a complex hydrocolloid mixture. During kneading, the starch granules that give the dough its structure are transferred to the water. In Fuyang, Zhejiang, this starch water is poured away, and the remaining gliadin and glutenin form elastic promolins, what is commonly known as gluten. Here it's used to make a home-cooked dish. It's filled with minced meat, pickled vegetables, dried wild bamboo shoots and carrots, with leeks and millet peppers added for flavour. First, a small piece of gluten is pulled off and used to wrap a large ball of filling. Gluten's high elasticity means that the shell will not break easily. "1,000 years ago, the Chinese had already mastered the secrets of gluten and invented many dishes with it. Boiling, frying and smoking can bring out the texture of meat dishes. The gluten adds a little resistance as you sink your teeth into the delicious filling. The starch water that the people of Fuyang discard is transformed into a delicacy in the hands of the Cantonese people. All protein is removed, leaving only the wheat starch, which has been settled and dried. The Cantonese call this completely gluten-free powder xin min, clear flour. Chefs who are knowledgeable about xin min have their own special skills. After the dough is heated over water, it's quickly kneaded with boiling water. As the amylose stabilizes to gelatin form, that's when the magic happens. The dough becomes sticky and takes on a soft white hue. The Chinese kitchen knife is the only tool that xin min chefs need. They smear the side of the blade with lard and curve it in a perfect arc. To reach their standard, the dough must be no thicker than 0.2 millimeters. After steaming over high heat, the dough becomes smooth, delicate, and translucent. The hazy beauty of xin min gives it a high status among Cantonese dim sum. This is the finer, more exquisite side of the wild wheat grains we saw earlier. In Macau, where land is a precious resource, Long chose not to use the limited space of his shop to increase the number of dining tables, but to make noodles by hand. Each day, he spends 7 hours making noodles this way, to achieve the perfect shape and texture. And when being handled, they won't break easily. Our Long's father occasionally stops by and always sits off to the side. The noodles are boiled in a soup base made of pork bones and dace fish, then passed through cold water to quickly cool them. Then they're returned to the hot broth. These steps have remained unchanged for 3 generations. A ladle of soup stock, some sauce, then a drizzle of lard. The ultimate goal of lo mein is a firm, chewy texture, so excess water must be shaken off. Then it's coated evenly with seasoning. Lo mein with shrimp served on the streets of Macau is not messy like elsewhere, and it's quite refreshing. Due to its unique location and history, Macau retains its diverse local traditions. This little Portuguese restaurant has another story involving flour to tell. Santos first came to Macau 4 decades ago as a mariner and had food from his hometown with him. This was once a vegetarian meal that the Portuguese would eat during fasting days. Kidney beans are patted dry in flour, then coated in egg batter and fried until golden brown. Due to their shape, this food was nicknamed peixinhos da horta, fish in a garden. 4 centuries ago, these little Portuguese fish also introduced wheat to Japan, where rice had always been the staple food. After continuous evolution, one of Japan's representative delicacies was formed. Tempura is distinguished by being rolled in batter and then deep fried. But for different ingredients, the batter, oil temperature and frying time all vary greatly. Fully sifted flour and low-temperature eggs are what make the dough nice and light. Shiso leaves add a lingering aroma, and sea urchin has a satisfying taste. The thin batter is then poured into a pan, and the excess batter is shaken off. In less than 90 seconds, a thin crust, and the inside is cooked to perfection. The batter is thickened, and it's time for the conga mairiasta. The belly is plump and fatty, and the thick paste locks in the water. The backs of the fish skins must be cooked against the edge of the pot to give them a charred aroma. The 2 sides of the fish are cut to have different textures. Conga Mariasta tempura is always served as the headliner of a meal. Wheat is part of the Poaceae family of plants and includes many species. In August, the bells on the wheat ears have opened. This is yomai, a kind of hull-less oats unique to China. Xinghua's Yomai field is at the foot of the Great Wall on the border between Shanxi and Inner Mongolia. The land here is not highly suited for growing crops, and the terrain is vast and open. Historically, few people have lived here, and many chose to cross the Great Wall to earn a living. Yomai is one of the few cereals that can adapt to these natural conditions, and it only takes 3 months to grow, from sowing to maturity.
从小就好唱歌，我们4个女儿就是我好唱，她不好说话，必须不高，说她脆了，说她善良了，就会干优美。
Xinghua's home is on a hill, making it difficult to bring machinery there, so she and her husband have to rely on their own 4 hands. Yomai is perhaps the most difficult grain to process, requiring cooking at a high temperature 3 times to tame its wild nature. First, it's fried, which prevents the fat inside from spoiling. When the hairs on the grains are scattered, if they come in contact with human skin, they will itch unbearably. So Xinghua must protect herself. Next, the yomai is boiled. Since it doesn't easily form into dough, it is kneaded with boiling water, and only when the starch is cooked does the dough become stretchy. After kneading, the yomai dough becomes somewhat easier to handle. It's rolled flat, then filled with potatoes, carrots and lettuce, lightly seasoned, then carefully rolled. Finally, the dough and vegetables are steamed together to complete the final appearance. While cooking, it gives a refreshing smell, similar to nuts being roasted. Known locally as the village's most skillful housewife, Xinghua can transform yomai dough into many shapes and sizes without any tools at all, just her bare hands. Her granddaughter just came back with her family from the country for the weekend. Xinghua's children live away from home, and her eldest daughter and son work far away in Inner Mongolia. Xinghua isn't very good at texting, so whenever she makes a meal, she takes a video and sends it to her children. 30 miles of oats, 40 miles of rice cakes. Oats are the most satiating grain and have accompanied people as they travel far and wide for generations.
Oh, 小小好看不好看？
好看点，
好吃不？小小，
好吃点。
有这个吧？有这个吧？小小。给小小介绍多多。我一个这个了。好吃。
什么不理解法？
下次。
这个吗？
嗯。
像海螺。
肉好吃的吧？
Cereals are likely the food we come across most. Aside from providing energy, they also give us a sense of joy and comfort in our busy lives. At 4 in the morning, Wei and his wife start a fire and put a large pot of sticky rice onto steam. But the sticky rice is just a supporting role. The lead actor is another cereal, in its budding state. A week ago, these barley seeds were waiting to be brought to life in this damp environment. The shoots are now thriving and ready to move on to the next level. 66-year-old Wei is a master candy maker, revered in villages near and far. He first learned the art from his father at the age of 20. There is a local proverb: when it comes to making candy and wine, there's no such thing as an expert. meaning that these trades rely on experience. After mixing mashed malt and sticky rice, a magical catalyst is formed, amylase. After the span of a day, the rice is no longer sticky, which means that the starch has been hydrolyzed by the enzymes in the malt. Various grains, with the help of malted barley, can be made into candy with different flavors. Before the advent of sucrose, maltose from cereals was the main consistent source of sweetness. Maltose was first discovered in China, and at the time was called yi. As the water evaporates, the syrup becomes thicker, and the maltose gradually reveals its true form. Maltose is the finishing touch of Cantonese char siu. The roasted pork shoulder has fascia running throughout it, giving it a wonderful soft and chewy texture. Maltose is stickier than honey, so it adds not only a soft sweetness, but an attractive luster too. In Cantonese, the words for honey and malt sound almost the same. Honey char siu is actually malt char siu. But maltose has an even more exquisite use in Cantonese cooking. A whole chicken, skin removed, keeping the subcutaneous fat. Several branches of Chinese cuisine strive to make the skin of poultry meat shiny and red. Chinese chefs combined maltose, rice wine and vinegar to make this skin-crisping sauce. The heated water is poured over the chicken skin several times. The rice wine removes the gamey taste, while the vinegar breaks down the fat and tightens the skin. The maltose's magic will be seen soon enough. Next, shrimp meat and pig fat are minced into a puree, which the Cantonese call bai hua, 100 flowers filling. The chicken skin is covered, then a thin layer of oil is heated. The filling is stuck to the bottom and rotated twice so that it floats around. When hot oil is added, the sugar attached to the chicken skin begins to brown, then gradually changes to a maroon colour. Winter is when Wei shows off his unique skills. Traditional Chinese New Year foods go hand in hand with the satisfaction of an abundant harvest. While Wei stretches the candy, his wife prepares the toppings. Sesame and chopped kumquats are the most popular flavours. As the candy is stretched and folded, the water evaporates, transforming it into a solid glass-like state. The candy becomes a tangle of countless strands, each less than 0.05 millimeters thick. With a light touch, the candy strands collapse like an avalanche and disappear in a flash. The sweet energy contained in barley has travelled through the harshest environments on the planet. The Karola Glacier has an altitude of 7,000 metres and is the source of almost all of this region's rivers. The flat open areas on either side of this river valley have naturally fertile soil. Due to the low temperature, lack of oxygen and strong sunlight, most grains withdrew from this harsh land, except for one. This tenacious grain allowed the early Zhang people to farm, settle and develop villages and cities. When summer comes, the daughter-in-law Su Mu and mother-in-law Mi Zhen take care of the fields. Qingke, or Highland barley, is a special kind of barley that only grows on the Qinghai Xijiang Plateau. It is the staple food for the people of the plateau, and a grain that is tied very close to life there. Qingke is fried with the bran still on, then ground into powder, which in Zhang language is called samba. For generations, the millstone continues to turn, and the scent of Qingke lingers in the air. Freshly ground samba is worthy of Mi Zhen's craftsmanship. The whey water left after making ghee has high protein and lactose content, making it perfect for kneading dough. The ghee has a rich taste. The brown sugar adds sweetness, and then the milk curd completes the appearance. Marzen cake is blended with the rich flavours of milk and Qingke. It's firm and energy dense, and easy to digest, making it indispensable for families on the plateau in summer. Living together in a fixed place and growing grain as the main food source is a typical farming lifestyle. For this reason, grain is associated with stability, peace, abundance, and warmth. The early autumn sea breeze of the North Atlantic region drops the temperature, but the cold, misty air does not affect the ripening of wheat. As humankind's oldest cereal crop, barley is tough and resilient. What this remote island in southwestern Scotland lacks in fishing makes up with barley farming. Ripe barley's coarse texture makes it unsuitable for direct consumption, so the residents here make it into a distinctive alcoholic drink, whiskey. Islay whiskey is named after the island. Nearly 80% of Islay's 3,500 residents are involved in the production of barley spirits. First, the barley is spread out on the floor for 5 to 10 days. The moist environment allows the malt to grow to 3/4 of the kernel length, at which point the sugar to starch ratio is just right. This is where it all begins. Because few trees grow here, the islanders still greatly rely on a special geological fuel, peat. As life has come and gone over the eons, the essence of the land and sea has been deposited in wetlands. When peat is burned at a high temperature, organic matter that cannot be completely decomposed releases phenolic compounds. The people of Islay discovered that drying barley with peat produced a distinctive smoky aroma. After using this kind of malt to distill spirits, the unique peat flavour became closely associated with the island. At first, it was wild fruit and animal milk that naturally fermented into spirits and surprised humans with its intoxicating effect. Until the advent of agriculture, surplus food was combined with fermentation techniques. Almost all civilizations around the world have distilled alcohol at one point. On the plateau, it's still made in the original way. With a steady high temperature, over time the microbes will work their magic. Saccharification takes place, then fermentation, and the starch in the grains is decomposed to produce ethanol. The ancestors of various ethnic groups collectively uncovered this secret and learned to use grains to create this exciting, liberating, and invigorating liquid. On this cold, damp island, grain cannot be stored for very long. However, by using it to distill spirits, the soul of barley can live on in the taste and smell of whiskey. This translucent liquid contains a world of flavour. Caramel, smoke, oak, cinnamon, dried fruit. Everyone has their own preferences, but there is one thing they agree on: the mellowness of the grains. In about 1 week, a large amount of slurry has seeped out from the Qingke. Mi Zhen does not filter it, since the turbid state will retain more of the original flavour. Spreading ghee on the rim of the brewing pot and cup gives them a sacred appearance. The first batch of Qingke wine is shared with the family at grand festivals. Sweet, mellow, refreshing, and just a little bit tart, it's hard to resist. The roof has been replaced with New Year's decorations. People reserve their best food to worship heaven and earth. Cereals not only form the basis of our diet, but through their generous power, they also help people unite, cooperate, and stay together for generations. No one can resist the sweetness of cereals. The grassland tribes live in pursuit of water and grass. Their daily diet mainly consists of meat and milk, and of course, cereals. The day of offering sacrifices to the Ao Bao is coming soon, and the continuous rain is cause for concern. The Huendu Lung grasslands are hidden in the deepest part of the Ahorkin Banner. From June to September each year, the abundant rainfall makes for lush grass, so this is a fattening season for cattle and sheep. The plains are vast and sparsely populated, making it difficult for shepherds to get together. Hundreds of Nerin's family and friends are coming for Ao Bao worship and the Nardem Games, so Nerin's family must prepare ample food. The wind picks up, and the ceremony takes place as usual. The Ao Bao embody the shepherd's awe for the mountains, rivers and land, and also act as the boundaries of the plains. The heavy rain held back their guests, but the food they prepared must not go to waste. Nerin decides to make a delicious meal to treat the whole family. The ribs have just the right balance of lean and fatty meat, and are the most delicious part of the sheep. The cereals grown on the grasslands originated from material exchanges with farming people. Wheat flour and lamb ribs are a delectable combination at Nerin's house. Food made by wrapping filling made of various ingredients in dough has been around for 2 millennia. Today, we call it dumplings. Steamed dumplings were introduced to the grasslands over 1,000 years ago, then continued outward with the expansion of the Mongol Empire. Turks make dumplings by dividing a large piece of dough into 2 centimetre squares. The filling is made of minced beef and chopped onions and seasoned with paprika and black pepper. Making Turkish dumplings requires care and patience. The shell is sealed in a cross. Turkey is at the intersection of East and West, and these tiny dumplings are found nowhere else. Italians are skilled at making dumpling-like foods into different shapes. First, ricotta cheese and spinach are made into a coarse puree, which is refreshingly sweet and slightly tart. After being cut with a pasta wheel, the pillow-shaped shell is a traditional staple in the wheat-growing regions of northern Italy. Paired with sage and Parmesan cheese, the ravioli takes on a rich flavour.
Ravioli. Buon appetito.
A single dough shell can be used to wrap countless types of filling. Dumplings are like a common food language of Eurasia.
Mantı, afiyet olsun.
Lamb chop dumplings have a thick body and firm filling and are best steamed. After 45 minutes, the dough shell is filled with the juices of the meat. The sun comes out over the plains, and the family lays out their meal. This simple dough shell can hold virtually any food in the world and has followed humans through generations. Cereals have shaped the human stomach and influenced the way we think and act. Life is like the never-ending waves of a field of wheat, and its story is our story.